Market to Market is everywhere you are. Subscribe to Market on YouTube, find us on the PBS video app to stream on demand, and add our 3 podcasts on your favorite podcasting app.
Coming up on Market to Market, USDA unveils plans to assist consumers and producers. Shaking up a niche market.
Interestingly enough, it's been very orderly.
And market analysis with Dan Huber next.
What's the most complex industry on Earth? It's not genetics, or meteorology, or logistics. It's a business that involves them all. It's farming. Thank you, farmers, from Pioneer.
Tomorrow. For over 100 years, we've worked to help our customers be ready for tomorrow. Trust in tomorrow. Information is available from a Grinnell Mutual agent today. This is the Friday, June 3 edition of Market to Market, the weekly journal of rural America.
Hello, I'm Paul Yeager. Another movement higher in one sector of the U.S. economy, the number of jobs added. During the month of May, 390,000 positions were created to extend the streak of solid hiring despite high inflation. Many sectors added employees, with retail being the big exception. The unemployment rate held at 3.6%, approaching a pre-pandemic low. The Mid-America Business Conditions Index remained above growth neutral in May on solid manufacturing activity. The survey of supply managers in 9 Midwestern states did fall on a month-over-month reading. Transforming systems like food is no easy task. The pandemic altered the lanes that were in place and then created new ones. Now, USDA wants to take that a step further. Peter Tubbs reports.
The United States Department of Agriculture announced a new round of initiatives aimed at adding flexibility for both consumers and producers for the American food system.
I believe a transformed food system will sustainably produce more food, allowing the United States to meet its global responsibility through exports and donations to ensure global food security. With these investments, the transformed food system will mean more new and better markets, generating better income for producers and better choices and prices for consumers.
The spending aims to improve both market opportunities for agricultural producers and options for consumers looking to feed their families. Independently owned processors and distributors will see guaranteed loans for distribution and cold storage projects to further strengthen the food distribution system. In order to reduce the fragility of the meat processing industry, the USDA will fund the training of potential meat processing workers. The pool of employees could help keep meat processing plants online during another high-demand period like the one seen during the COVID-19 pandemic. The USDA also will encourage more regional food centers. The move would assist small and medium-sized food processors and distributors to better serve their markets. The organic food sector will see increased technical assistance to farmers interested in transitioning to organic practices, along with increased crop insurance options. There will be an increase in funding for the Farm to School program. The infusion of funds will be used to try and increase the amount of locally grown produce purchased for America's school lunches. The Healthy Food Financing Initiative will fund grants and loans to improve food access in both rural and urban areas that are underserved by grocery stores or food retailers.
When faced with grave challenges, America seizes the opportunity to transform itself into a stronger and better form of itself. I believe a transformed food system will deliver a better deal for farmers, ranchers, and growers and consumers through more new and better markets, also stimulating our rural economy. I believe a transformed food system will also lead to better health outcomes for Americans by increasing access to healthy, locally grown foods.
For Market to Market, I'm Peter Tubbs.
Alexander Graham Bell once said, "When one door closes, another door opens." And this is often said when a layoff or other job change occurs. Creating a new path may bring more freedom for an entrepreneur to try something new, But it may also put pressure on that new entry into the marketplace. Josh Bittner explains in our cover story.
In 2020, the coronavirus pandemic triggered economic fallout, leading to job losses for tens of millions in the U.S. alone. For one recent college graduate, being laid off was the final nudge he needed to branch out by returning to his roots.
Reconnecting people to the food they eat is kind of the idea I had.
A sixth-generation farmer from northeast Iowa, Tanner Sanis helped raise livestock and row crops growing up.
There were some scientific studies that suggest that they may help in nerve regeneration. They're also really delicious. They're really good seafood replacement.
Now he's acquired a taste for specialty mushrooms shared by a growing number of locals willing to pay a premium for his ultra-fresh supply.
I had listened to a podcast, and it was talking about the health benefits of lion's mane. And I was too broke, I was in college at the time, to afford the supplements, so I ended up buying a grow block of the lion's mane. We fruited it right on our kitchen table and dehydrated the lion's mane and made a powder out of it. And then I had kind of fallen down the YouTube rabbit hole of how to grow it, and didn't really see that there was anyone growing oyster mushrooms or lion's mane in the area. And that's kind of where my business degree came in hand, and I saw the niche in the area.
Basic button mushrooms have long dominated U.S. shelves. According to industry trade association, the American Mushroom Institute, mushroom farming contributes over $3 billion annually to the U.S. economy. USDA data points to California and Pennsylvania as responsible for 90% of domestic supply, though cheaper imports from Canada, Mexico, South Korea, and powerhouse China are growing, as is a hunger for more exotic varieties.
You're basically adding the mycelium, which is the living organism of the mushroom, and to its favorite food, and the humidity from the grow room makes it fruit. It'll take around a month for it to completely encompass these bags.
Initial research and online classes quickly led to a makeshift grow room. Within 2 months, Sanis was selling his harvest at a local farmer's market. Now, an upgraded grow space inside a repurposed refrigerator trailer in a barn on the family farm gives him the environmental controls and space needed to bump yields to around 250 pounds per week. His startup, Reconnected Farms, supplies various food outlets within a 60-mile radius of Dorchester, Iowa.
We started carrying Tanner's mushrooms in November of 2020, and as soon as we started carrying his product, it almost doubled our sales.
Brian Haugland is the produce manager at Woodman's Market in Onalaska, Wisconsin, a suburb of La Crosse, where Sanis went to college. With around 20 stores in Wisconsin and Illinois, Woodman's prides itself on high-quality fresh produce.
So normally mushrooms, they'll be harvested, shipped to a distributor. It might take up to a week before those mushrooms are received in the store. And with Tanner's, they're coming here same day. You know, when you're getting them that fresh, you're getting the best product you possibly can.
Haugland says health-conscious customers prefer the taste Reconnected Farms brings to the table, as well as the antioxidants and vitamin D not present in many other plant-based foods.
We think of sweet and bitter and salty and sour when we think of tastes, but there's another taste that's known as umami that is found in many mushrooms that's sort of more that savory taste.
Dr. Todd Osmundson is a mycologist at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse who uses DNA to study and identify the geographical distribution of fungi, various strains, and their relationship to different environments.
I think the idea of food as medicine has really taken off, and there are a lot more supplements that you can buy that have mushrooms in them than there were even 10 years ago. And it's also getting attention in clinical settings.
Osmundson says past scrutiny of mushroom compounds has led to pharmaceutical heavy hitters like penicillin and cyclosporin, and fungal analysis continues regarding their immune system influence fighting infections and cancer. He adds use of varieties like lion's mane stretches back 3,000 to 7,000 years between ancient Greece and traditional Asian medicine.
There's been some suggestion that it could be helpful in Parkinson's disease, ALS, possibly Alzheimer's disease, any disease that involves neurodegeneration. A lot of these ideas haven't been explored using standard double-blind kinds of medical experiments, but there's a long history of use that suggests that they might be really powerful.
This is actually the first flush of king trumpets that we've had on the farm. These are reishi mushrooms.
While commanding wholesale prices between $8 and $11 per pound for current crop, Sanis experiments with other varieties with other health benefits he might offer customers one day. He adds that because Reconnected Farms uses organic substrate and excludes chemicals and pesticides, gaining organic certification could be easy and help unleash another product line with even higher premiums. As demand accelerates, Sanis hopes to expand deliveries to a 100-mile radius within the driftless region of Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. But he doesn't sweat competitors using his roadmap.
I think the market's plenty big for multiple growers in an area.
For Market to Market, I'm Josh Bittner.
Next, the Market to Market report.
Russia's pledge to open a safe shipping corridor in the Black Sea nearly single-handedly sunk the trade. For the week, the nearby wheat contract shed $1.18 or 10%, while July corn dropped 50 cents. Bulls and bears wrestled for the narrative on the soy complex as China bought some grain, while money managers and technical traders changed positions. The nearby contract fell 35 cents. July meal declined $24.40 per ton. July cotton shrank $1.24 per hundredweight. Over in the dairy parlor, July Class 3 milk futures gained a penny. The livestock sector was mixed. August cattle put on $1.45. August feeders added $7.55. And the July lean hog contract sold off 98 cents. In the currency markets, the U.S. dollar index improved by 43 ticks. July crude oil strengthened $4.81 per barrel. COMEX gold lost $3.50 per ounce, and the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index gained more than 15 points to finish at 805.15. Joining us now to provide some insight is Dan Huber. Hey, Dan.
Hello.
You know, sometimes on this show we discuss changing the order that we talk about things.
Sure.
Wheat, though, in 2022 has been in the headlines almost every single week we've done the show.
Oh, yes.
When you're down almost $2 in 10 days, those aren't the headlines you want to be.
Well, not if you're on the long side of the market by any means. So you know, and again, as you touched on, you know, there's a lot of things that have kind of combined, which is always the case, combined to put that pressure on there. The most recent being Russia making this semi-offer of opening up shipping channels. You know, how generous of them to, you know, let people go through. So
stuff that's not theirs.
Well, not theirs to begin with. So and again, when you really think about that topic, you know, Russia not only started a war with Ukraine, they really started a war against everybody who needs to import food in the world, and particularly, you know, nations that are very dependent on wheat imports, having difficulties of their own. I mean, the Horn of Africa is working through droughts, and of course, very dependent on getting that grain out of the Black Sea. And you know, there's really a situation. A lot of these nations, it becomes a question of, do we feed our people or do we pay our debts? And you know, now we're at the point where probably some countries are going to begin to default on debt because they need to feed their people first and foremost. So it's like I say, it's a war on not just Ukraine, it's a war on the rest of the world in many respects.
The wheat story is probably one of the most global that we talk about here on a regular basis.
Yep.
However, we have our own domestic story going on here. It seems to be I sound like a broken record each week asking about, well, there was rain in the southern plains and the northern plains has been wet. There's finally maybe been a window starting to open up for some spring wheat.
Right.
And some other crops. All the questions are pretty much asking that same question.
Sure.
Now on the spring wheat, United States, mini wheat kind of had a week for a little while, despite the USDA saying, yeah, there's not a lot planted right now. What's going on?
Well, not a lot planted. I mean, again, progress is being made. And again, I think the wheat's probably looking at the global situation yet. Yes, I mean, we are, I mean, not that we still aren't a major player in the wheat market, but compared to other nations, you know, we're a little bit more of a minor role, particularly when it comes to supplying outside. There was news this week that Australia is looking like they're getting off to a great start again. Probably will be, unless there's an issue come up, the third very large crop in a row, if not pushing a record crop. So, you know, those type of things kind of temper the enthusiasm. But I think as much as anything, you know, so much hype happened this year, and I don't know to call it hype, but panic, building risk in. We don't know what happened with Russia. We know we had difficulty with crops here and in Canada last year. So we built a lot of premium in because of that risk. And I think, now that people are getting a little bit accustomed to, is the war going to be as bad? Did we plant as much or as little as we thought in Ukraine? Every time you get a little relief there, that takes a little more risk premium out of the market, and I think that's exactly what happened with wheat.
Well, my question was going to be simple, but you just maybe changed it midstream there. You make it sound like if the premium we're taking advantage of that, the easy question is the low end in wheat. But what you just said, I don't think it is.
Oh, I don't think we're done yet. If you want to say is the high end in wheat, I would certainly agree with that one. But short term, yes, I think probably within the next few days, we've pushed it far enough for this kind of a correction, and probably chances are we're even though that's kind of seasonal. We probably should see a rally in June, but I think it's going to be a corrective rally. It's not a new drive into something new, into the upper side. So,
well, we might not be the big player on the block when it comes to wheat, but the United States is when it comes to corn.
Absolutely.
Coming into today, we were down 80 cents in 2 days. But back to Russia and Ukraine, that story is spilling over into the corn market.
Sure.
But what else is at play here? Because something else is.
Part of it is lack of demand at this point. You're really not seeing any demand to speak of on old crop corn. The sales were really pretty disappointing again for a second week in a row on corn. And yes, we had a little tension when we could not, when we were late on getting into the field, but that has picked up very rapidly. Yes, there is no doubt that we're probably going to lose some acreage in the northern plains. Same token, I talked to a number of guys through in Illinois in the I states. If they could get the available supplies of seed, they put in some extra corn. I mean, now we're talking about major, but 100 acres here, 200 acres there, ultimately adds up. So I think we're going to see that kind of balance out to what is lost in the north. Not to mention, look at the yield differences between those areas. So 100 acres of gaining in Illinois. Certainly more than offsets 100 acres loss in North Dakota.
Well, and again, all these questions about the same thing. Let's just go to a question now. We're going to go to Gary in Franksville, Wisconsin, where they've had their own weather story this year. Gary's asking, will corn's price drop this week, plus high propane, natural gas prices, and cooler temps be the three strikes that keeps the corn planters in the shed for the last acres and lead to either prevent plant or switch to bean acres?
Again, each farm's going to be a little bit different, as far as what they have on economics, what they have as far as booked in for fertilizers and those type of things. Absolutely, there's going to have to be a pickup in the prevented plant claims out there, particularly in the northern tiers. Again, even though we've pulled back, this is not a discouraging price on corn by any stretch of the imagination, for this year or for next year or the year after, as far as that's concerned. So I think guys will plan it up to the very end, and some might even go beyond their insurance date, because I think the profitability is there for people who have those inputs covered.
However, when you've looked at 80 cents, 50 cents melt away, how do you still position yourself here moving forward next week?
Well, one, that's assuming you haven't done anything as far as up to this point. Some people might have been a little more aggressive on getting things sold. Here, my viewpoint kind of on the corn and the wheat, I guess the same way, is, there's no sense panicking. We still have too much growing season ahead of us. We know the next 30 days is almost always an important period in the corn market, but, now it's time to kind of put on the hat of thinking of, I need to sell the rallies more than thinking about, just how extreme can it get, or, do I need to worry about buying the breaks and covering the sales I made already? No, I think we've done enough damage that we've probably seen the high, but that doesn't mean we can't rebound and give us second and third opportunities to make sales.
Wheat and corn sound more like fundamental stories. Is the bean story more of a technical one?
I would say it's still fundamental as well. I mean, I think when you look at the basis levels we've seen throughout some of the Midwestern states, Illinois, $1 over at some of the processors. Now, granted, some plants have shut down for maintenance, maybe doing it a little bit premature, but I think they're having a very difficult time securing the beans. That said, we're really kind of on the border. Could we have broken out to the upside this week? Well, we knocked on the door, but just couldn't quite get the job done. So I think we're going to need a new, fresh story if we think beans can accelerate beyond where they're at. And I'm not exactly sure where that's going to come from. So you'd almost think it'd have to be weather, because demand has slackened to there as well. So
well, and there was a question, I think you wrote this, a little bit about this bull story. It's kind of to what you're saying, the fresh news. The bulls need the fresh news.
Right.
But what is going on with this bull spread in the beans by the money managers?
Well, here again, I think that's typical in a market like this. Yeah, we have difficulty finding availability of old crop beans. There is good margin in crush if you can get a hold of the beans. But when you look at the new crop, we're still looking at a good planting pace. We're looking at more acreage. Let's go back to the prospective planting report. There was the bearishness in the beans in that, we were looking at a couple million more acres than anybody really thought. That was quickly forgotten about. But if the weather stays good, we get beans in the ground, that will come back into the story again.
I used one of your lines a couple weeks ago, and somebody thought I said something differently. You like to write word of gov. That's coming up next week. Yes. What is the word of gov going to tell us on these first 3 crops that we're looking at next week?
I mean, wheat could, because that is more of a developing crop, wheat could have some interesting news. I would suspect in the beans they might need to push up some of the usage a little bit. You generally don't get anything major in that June report, just because at the end of June, of course, we end up with final planting, as final as it's going to be until
hopefully
the end of the year at that point. So it's they tend to just do tweaks in June. But I would, corn probably not looking for a whole lot of change. I doubt they will change the yield, particularly since they came in with a little lower yield on that initial report than anybody really anticipated. But beans, I think you could see a little boost in usage. There's the one, you look at corn availability. Yeah, it's not burdensome, but it's certainly not worrisome either, particularly if we get a decent crop coming. Soybeans, it's a tight one. So
I need to slip in real fast here on cotton. We slipped below the 50-day moving average for the first time in quite some time.
Right,
Does that mean the end is near there?
It would appear so. We tried to rally back today. Yeah, didn't do a great job of holding on to it. So the cotton market looks as well like it's probably, and here some pretty good rains in West Texas where the cotton's in. And so, not that it's great conditions down in the south and southwest, but improved conditions, let's say.
It's also cattle country down there. On the feeder side, we're up $1.45. The live cattle story, is that bullish here now?
It looks like we've probably finally sparked up here. I mean, really, for the last 2 to 3 weeks, it just could not come off a dead center. And granted, historically, 130 cattle is not exactly a depressed level, but on the same token, I looks like we're ready to turn up. Of course, the feeders, probably are being depressed as much of anything because of the break in the corn market, so it should make things a little bit more attractive there. But here again, too, if we're going to see those kind of the feed grains under some pressure, then maybe the best way to get corn to market is walk it there.
Well, and it's walking through the feeder market up 4.5%, $7.55. I think you said depressed, but do you not see as bullish of a story for the feeders?
Oh, no, I can say, I think if the corn is depressed,
yes, see. Okay.
It translates into a bullish story for the feeders. Yes,
okay.
Correct.
But, so I'll ask the question that's the easy one.
Sure.
Are you expanding any cattle herds right now?
Ooh.
Any of those feedlots?
Good question. I guess I haven't really talked to enough people to give a good answer on that. But I would, if it's coming off of, I think the cattle on feed earlier this year, things came off of pasture because of the right conditions. But if that, I guess my biggest hesitation, trying to think through this, is that if there is concerns about the economy, which I think there's enough people rattling the recession bell here at this point in time, that probably could put a little hesitation in the retail side of it. And we already know inflation has been pinching the consumer out there. So, that might be the tempering effect. Why try to put a lot of cattle on feed at this point if we're not sure how that retail counter is going to act this summer?
Well, retail sales they've just shifted.
Right.
We're still buying stuff as Americans. We've got money in reserves. They said that today in the jobs report, but we're not buying as many hogs, or are we? Because that at the meat counter when you go, that seems to be the cheaper option on protein. So
it should be the cheaper option. Of course, it would have been poultry had we not have the flu situation that it really kind of decimated the herd there for a while. That should be coming back. I did hear today that the several states have lifted their restrictions on feeds, or allowing access to birds and keeping them out of the open. So, but same token, I think pork. Here again, the last couple months have been a little bit difficult there, but same token, we're not exactly at depressed levels there. I think we've just kind of gone through a correction, maybe have a little bit further to go there, but it's, I don't see where we have a complete wipeout going to the port market.
Yeah, I mean, we closed on Friday 110.75 on the July contract. That's but it's about perspective.
Oh, sure.
So how do you alter your perspectives and protect yourself here?
Now, from the producer side, or are you talking about
let's take
resale?
producer side.
Producer side, I think, granted, the big detriment there, of course, is the high price of feedstuffs at this point in time. But, once again, it's just keeping your pencil sharp. When you see opportunities to hedge it, because I don't think this is going to be a runaway to the upside now.
I'm trying not to do too much in pencil, more in ink, but they're telling me to write it and say wrap up and we're done.
Oh,
thanks, Dan.
Very good. Thank you.
Good to see you.
All right, great.
We'll keep the conversation going here in Market to Market, because that's going to do it for this installment. But we're going to keep going in Market Plus. We have a whole bunch of your questions to ask, so join us there. Find that free on our website of markettomarket.org. Want to let you know that we've been on the Flipboard train for several years, pinning stories we're reading as the producers of the show and think that you may find interesting and helpful. Search Market to Market reading material on Flipboard. Next week, a drought reality check for agriculture in the West. Thank you for watching. Have a great week.
Market to Market is a production of Iowa PBS, which is solely responsible for its content.
What's the most complex industry on Earth? It's not genetics, or meteorology, or logistics. It's a business that involves them all. It's farming. Thank you, farmers, from Pioneer.
Tomorrow. For over 100 years, we've worked to help our customers be ready for tomorrow. Trust in tomorrow. Information is available from a Grinnell Mutual agent today.